of the year when the kings, this is like the crux of what I'm talking about to you tonight, okay? So like, usually, you know, it's like the last verse we read and everyone's like, oh, that's so good. I'm gonna tweet that. Like, oh, that's the part. No, and then like, in after comma, this next part is the most important part of everything tonight, okay? Are you ready for it? If you're ready, say I'm ready. In the spring of the year, comma. I didn't ask you to repeat it. You're okay. I like your enthusiasm. When kings normally go out to war. This is a time when the kings are supposed to be at war. But instead, David sent Joab and the Israelite army to fight the Ammonites. They destroyed the Ammonite army and laid siege to the city of Rabbah. Okay, so David's supposed to be at war right now. He's supposed to be going and leading his men in battle, but instead he hangs back. Now, his army destroyed the Ammonite army, laid siege to the city. They won everything. However, David stayed behind in Jerusalem. Now, so far, go back to verse 1. So far, is there an issue?
Yes.
So far, if you didn't know where I was going with this and you hadn't read verses 2 through 4, is there an issue?
No.
What's the issue? Yeah, but his army still won. What's the issue? So his army won without him. What's the big deal?
Continue.
I'm on it. Verse 2. She's like, stop asking me questions. Late one afternoon, after his midday rest, David got out of bed and was walking on the roof of the palace. Enters problem. There's never a problem until a woman enters the situation. And here it is. Stay with me. As he looked out over the city, he noticed a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath.
Ew.
Now enters issue. See, before, stay on verse 2, quit jumping on me. What are y'all doing back there, Gibby?
We're up here. It's just Gibby.
Oh, he by himself, that's why. Hey, everything's fine. David's like, I'm supposed to be at war, I'll stay home. No big deal. My army won anyway. We're that good. But the problem was, while David was at home, there was a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath on a roof. Ladies, keep it modest. Bathe indoors. That's usually the part where I like insert a student's name just to call someone out, but that would have been way too weird. Okay, CJ. As he looked out over the city, he notices a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath. He was supposed to be focused on the enemy. He was supposed to be focused on battle. But on face value, so what? His team still won. But maybe where he was supposed to be wasn't about the victory, it was about David himself. Go to verse 3 now, Gibby. He sent someone to find out who she was. Y'all play this game. Y'all know who that is? Like, you start scrolling on and like Insta stalking. So go and find out who she was, and they told her she is Bathsheba. Now, I guess it's just a coincidence that she was taking a bath and her name's Bathsheba. Maybe that's how she got her name. They're like, she's gonna take a lot of baths. She is, but who takes baths anymore? Who in here takes baths? That's disgusting. Unless you shower first, and then you're like, okay, I'll hang out in my bathroom, because otherwise you're sitting in a pool of your own filth. So she is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, and the wife of Uriah the Hittite, verse 4 now. Then David sent messengers to get her, and when she came to the palace, he slept with her, ... Now is there an issue with the fact that when he was supposed to be at war, David stayed home? We have clearly identified issue. Her name is Bathsheba. She was naked, he was watching, and he sent his bro to go get her and bring her on over to Netflix and chill. And chill they did. ... Later, when Bathsheba discovered she was pregnant, more recent situation, she sent David a message saying, I'm pregnant. And he's like, I want a paternity test. Not really, that didn't happen. It just moves on from there. Later, when Bathsheba discovered that she was pregnant, she sends David a message saying, I'm pregnant. You know, nowadays we have big fancy like reveals and things like that. She just sent him a note, was like, I'm pregnant. What you gonna do about it? Now, I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna tell you what David did about it. And then we're going to get into some real trouble. Father, I thank you for your word tonight. God, I thank you that your word is alive. It is breathing. It is able to pierce the hearts of every person in this room, God. That we don't need hundreds of people to seek after you, but your word says where two or more are gathered, Father, you're here as well. So we thank you. We welcome you for stepping into this room. God, we set our focus and our eyes on you. Students, shout, Dear Jesus.
Dear Jesus.
Take my heart.
Take my heart.
Take my mind.
Take my mind.
Take my ears.
Take my ears.
Open me up.
Open me up.
To receive from you.
Receive from you.
Change me. Challenge me tonight. In Jesus' name. Someone shout amen if you love the Lord Almighty. Come on. See, we can have fun in church on a Wednesday night. It's okay.
Killing it.
So here's the issue. David's supposed to be at war. David's supposed to be out of war. This is a springtime. See, the kings get to stay home in certain times. In certain times of the year, like the winter, the kings don't have to go to war. So he could have stayed home then. Probably did stay home then. But he started a really good series on Netflix, and he was binging hard. And he had gotten to he had finished season 4, but season 5, he had just started, and it was time to go to war. So he was like, oh, why don't y'all just go without me real quick? I got to finish this up. And so David stayed home when he was supposed to be at war. David didn't go where he was supposed to go, and he got in trouble real quick. The reason I'm talking to you about this on the first week of summer is because summer is the time when you guys find yourselves going where you shouldn't go and not going where you should be. And we like to blame the devil later on. We like to blame the enemy. But the truth is, if you were battling the enemy like you were supposed to be doing, you wouldn't be in trouble in the first place. If we were taking the fight to the enemy, if we were on that battlefield when we were supposed to be, we wouldn't have given Bathsheba any room in our life. We would have been where we were supposed to be, but that wasn't David. He wanted to stay at home. Think about it, and I never thought about this before. In the wintertime, he's allowed to stay home. In the wintertime, there's not a girl bathing on a roof outside. It's cold. But in the springtime, when he's supposed to be somewhere else, here comes trouble. This summer, over the next 2 months, be where you're supposed to be. And for the love of God, don't go where you're not supposed to go. I've seen far too many students throw away their reputation, throw away a relationship with God, throw away a relationship with the church, throw away a relationship with other Christians and other believers because summer happened. And they decided, this isn't the time for me to battle the enemy. This isn't the time for me to take some ground. Because go back to verse 1, I believe. It says that he sends Joab anyway, and they go and they battle the Ammonite army. They lay siege to the city of Rabbah. So they go and they take over the city. Because in the summertime, this is your perfect chance to make up some ground. See, all year long, starting in first week of September, for 9 months, you're going to be surrounded by people who are being used by the enemy and don't know it. You're going to be surrounded by people who aren't living for God. You're going to be surrounded by people talking about things, doing things, loving things, being things. That's tough for a Christian to be around. So why, for the next 2 months that you don't have to be exposed to it, would you put yourself in front of it willingly? Don't catch yourself this summer on the roof gazing at Bathsheba. And that can look like a myriad of things. That can look like a ton of things. We've gone over 1,000 things in here. I don't have to give you guys a big lecture about what's right and what's wrong. I'm tired of Christians playing dumb. I didn't know that wasn't okay. I didn't know we shouldn't be sleeping together. I didn't know I shouldn't be going over there at that time of the night and there's no one else at home. I didn't know that pop was bad. I didn't know I shouldn't be partying. I didn't know it was a bad thing to be certain places while I'm calling myself a Christian and making it readily available for everyone else. Oh yeah, you can be saved, you can love God, and you can do all these things because I am. No, I don't have to continue on that because you all know better. But that's not the issue. The issue is, are you disciplined enough to fight the enemy when you'd rather stay at home? See, because it wasn't just that David was supposed to go be giving a lecture or playing his harp. He was supposed to be fighting the enemy. How many in here can honestly say, and maybe if you're not aware of the fact that the enemy is coming at you in life, look up and open your eyes. The devil is out to steal, kill, and destroy every part of your being. And if you don't realize you're in a battle, you're probably losing right now. If you don't realize you're not just unhappy, the devil is actively attacking your joy. You're not depressed. The devil is actively attacking your security. You're not just bored with church. The devil is actively attacking your relationship with God, trying to make you stagnant and complacent, trying to make you think you're too cool to care about this God who died on the cross to come and save and rescue you. He is coming after you, and if you don't spend these next 2 months battling and attacking him, you're going to give him ground over your life. You're going to wind up in places that you shouldn't be, doing things you shouldn't be doing, and you're going to start next school year already wounded and stepping onto another war zone right in front of you. 2 months. Guys, that's why I stress things like camp. You know why some of you should be coming to camp? Not even because, and trust me, I know I give everybody a hard time when they tell me you're not coming to camp. Look, the truth is, Hannah's laughing, smiling right now. The truth is, don't laugh, Kiera, because you did too. The truth is, I really just want you to be at camp because I know how good it is for you. I know what 4 days in the presence of God does for you. And if you're not coming to camp, it does not make you a hell-bound heathen, okay? But the truth is, what can happen in those 4 days? What's going to happen over the summer if you don't plan where you're going to be? You just kind of end up places that you never meant to go. You end up doing things you never meant to do. See, the truth of the matter is, now some Christians just they have a complete misconception of what grace is and who Jesus is, and they actively pursue sin. They think they're covered. Wow, that's going to be a rude awakening. But other Christians just find themselves in places and in battles that they didn't realize they were heading into. They looked up, they were unarmed, and get slain right there on the field. And that's what happens if you're not actively planning out where you're going to be. If you're not coming out to the camp next week, there is no service here next Wednesday. What are you going to be doing next Wednesday night? What are you going to be doing next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Well, where are you going to be? And is that a place that you should be? Is it springtime in your life and you're supposed to be taking some ground on the enemy, but instead you're holding back? David didn't hold back to catch Bathsheba. He had no idea she was going to be bathing. But he didn't go where he was supposed to be, and he got himself caught. So he gets himself caught. She says, hey, Davy, I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh, crap. By the way, Bathsheba's married. Not only is Bathsheba married, but she's married to David's top general. So you know what David does? On the next battle that he's supposed to be going into, he puts that general on the front lines to go into battle to get killed. He gets that man killed, takes Bathsheba in his home, and thinks he's about to have his firstborn son. Except God's like, oh, no, you're not. And takes the life of his firstborn child. Dang, and then that seems like God's so cold. How did he take a baby like that? Are you kidding me? Like, you're telling me that baby skipped everything on this planet and got to spend eternity with God? Like, he's not complaining, I guarantee it. But David, on the other hand, was wrecked. David, on the other hand, was torn apart. In one moment, from not being where he was supposed to be, he had blood on his hands, as the Bible describes it, from taking out his own general. His firstborn child was not to be given to him because of the adulterous act he committed. And then because of it all, he was not allowed then to build the temple. That was supposed to be David. David, who had a heart after, a man who was after God's own heart. David, who was a worshiper. David played the harp. David, who could beat the enemy just with a song, who could beat the enemy with a rock and a sling, who could take it down the devil just with his faith. And the Lord Almighty, who was set up for his destiny to build the temple, didn't get to do it. He didn't get to do it because of that summer in his life. Look, God restores David, God forgives David, but that doesn't mean he gets to build the temple. There are things in your life, there are things that God has placed on your life. But guys, you can screw up. You can mess it up and you can miss it. Will God forgive you? Absolutely, but it doesn't mean you still get to build the temple. It doesn't mean you still get to walk in everything he wanted you to walk in. It doesn't mean you get to fulfill the assignment he put in front of you. All because in one moment, David wasn't where he was supposed to be. This summer, be where you're supposed to be. Actively pursue God. If you don't have a plan this summer of reading the Bible, like one verse a day, if you don't have a plan this summer of being here at Epic because there's other things you could be doing on Wednesday nights, if you don't have a plan this summer of joining small groups, not this Sunday, but the next, small groups begin. Be here on Sunday afternoons. Guys, what else are you doing on Friday night? Be here and shoot Nerf bullets at one another. Hide in the baptismal and jump out at somebody. It's much better than the trouble you could be getting into. Because here's what happens too. Maybe there is no Bathsheba bathing on a roof by your house. But you know what there is? There's your mind. And then you start fighting this enemy in your mind where you're just sitting there and then you start entertaining thoughts that you shouldn't be entertaining. And you start entertaining shows that you shouldn't be entertaining. You start entertaining media that you shouldn't be entertaining. And this isn't just the guys. This is all of us in this room. And we start allowing things to become options that never should have been on the table because we're not where we're supposed to be. Final plea this summer, be where you're supposed to be.